Villanova was great. There was no question who the better team was. I was disappointed in our. Granted, it's a short prep, and it's not the easiest team to play in a short prep. But our inability to kind of follow our plan from a scouting report standpoint. And then, the bottom line, it comes down, sometimes this game comes down to, it's me against you, and either I'm a bigger man or you're a bigger man. Either I'm going to the basket or you're going to stop me. And tonight they went to the basket, and we didn't provide near enough resistance with the person guarding the ball or with the consistency of our help. So it's one of two things. Either what we're doing technically is wrong, and I have to evaluate that and try to put them in better positions to be successful, or the people I have out there doing it are the wrong people, and I have to get some different people on the floor, and I'll evaluate that as well.
Questions for the student athletes?
Yes, for either guy. Coach just touched on a little bit. What was the game plan tonight, and why? I guess from what you were able to see, why was Villanova so effective in getting what they wanted?
The game plan tonight was, they 4 out of their 5 guys can shoot, and we have to guard the dribble, and then being help defense, for stunts and and for scramble situations, and we didn't come out aggressive enough on defense, and we didn't have that same practice intensity, the same defense that we have in practice. We didn't have that on the court tonight, and when you allow a team, who's a top 20 team in the country, to shoot 70% total, you're not going to win no matter how many shots you make.
I'd say it's just a lack of discipline. We talked about, staying down on shot fakes because we know they like to shot fake and get into the paint and then spray it from there. And I think, we just weren't disciplined enough to do that. Came out and people are flying around, but we just got to be better as a team defensively and cover up for those mistakes.
I think Villanova is a very disciplined team. They stick to what they do. But total we shot almost 50% for the game, and we missed a lot of open looks from 3. So I think that even though they played great defense, we still shot almost 50% from the field, and we just did make some open threes, and that comes down to our preparation. But they stuck with it, and they talk, and they're and they do what they do. But we got to make shots, and that's our identity, is to let it fly. And shooting 5 for 23 is tough, so we got to get in the gym and get better.
Wap said it, they're very disciplined. They stick to what they're supposed to do. Whenever we got by our first defender, they had somebody there waiting. Tip our caps to them. They did what they were supposed to do defensively.
Letting the game get away, as far as how efficient they were playing offensively. It was still within a couple possessions, and you guys would execute a possession, get an open look, and it would either rattle in and out or just miss for whatever reason. How deflating were those possessions where you guys would execute your sets, your actions, and just couldn't get the shot to fall in those situations?
Well, I think the reason why we were able to stay in the game in the first half is because, I think they might have had 10 turnovers in the first half. And, it allowed us to, and they didn't shoot the ball well from 3 either, and it allowed us to be in it. But, when we run our offense and, we knock down some threes, that gets our crowd into it. And, it seems like every time we were ready to make that run, a 3 rattle in and out, and, it is kind of deflating, when your guys shoot threes, and, it does take your confidence away a little bit. And I was just trying to tell my guys, keep shooting. I'm going to keep coming back to you, and I'm going to keep giving you the ball, regardless. So, it's deflating because, that's our identity. But we won't change. We have to come, more prepared. And we're going to keep fighting for these fans, everybody in white and blue, for our coaches. and everybody's a little disappointed in the defensive end. So our offense will come. We're not worried about that end of the floor. You won't shoot 70% every night, but when you don't have those great shooting nights, you have to be able to buckle down on defense, and we didn't do that tonight.
Isaiah, how disappointing is it to another big game to be talking about the defense just wasn't good enough to get us over the hump? I mean, you've been through this a lot.
I mean, extremely. We drill it every day for a good amount of practice, and we can do it in drills. It just has to find a way to carry over to the games, and I think that's just a mentality of breaking it down individually and individually taking your man's will away, so to speak, and making sure that he's not going to beat you tonight. But then also, when somebody does get beat off the dribble, you got to be there to help and have their back. So I think it's really just a mentality of carrying it over.
Any other questions for the student athletes? Thanks, guys. Questions for Coach Mack?
I guess you mentioned sometimes it comes down to just a man versus a man doing their job. What did you think as far as the way Daniel was able to get them going tonight inside his coach as well as your defense?
He hit a couple of those face-ups that were, that we had scouted, and he was supposed to be guarded, and he wasn't. Some of his baskets came off situations where we were forced to help, and then the person that was supposed to help Jeff or Zach wasn't in the right position, and he got an easy one. But we just made some really foolish decisions at times defensively for no reason, and things we don't practice, and we just kind of go off on our own. And when one guy does that and the other four aren't expecting it, it's really difficult to cover up for. So all of my fears and really everything that I've talked to our team about as we've moved along here through the non-conference portion of our schedule came to fruition tonight. I was worried this could happen to us, and it's. We've tried to address it, as the players have alluded to. We spent a tremendous amount of time on it on the practice floor. But when the lights go on, you got to do it, and we didn't do it, and it's my responsibility to make sure they do it. So, like I said, either we have to tweak what we do, or we have to tweak who's doing it, and maybe it's a combination of the two.
How frustrating is it at this point I'm sure you're tired of us asking about it and probably tired of addressing it, but how frustrating is it to have to, these are the things that maybe are holding the group back a little bit from someone being more consistent?
The frustrating part is I think there are some individuals that just refuse to take ownership in what they need to do on that end of the floor and how that would impact our team if their approach was slightly different. I'd take a guy like Zierden. He's probably the least equipped defender that we have in terms of size and length and athletic ability, yet he probably does as good a job as anybody on our team. So it's possible. You don't have to be the fastest and strongest and longest to be a good defender. You just have to be in the right spot. You got to have some toughness about you. The play Toby made at the end, in that ball screen where he got a hand on it, dove on the floor for a loose ball. Where are those plays out of the rest of the front line? They're not happening. And why aren't they happening? The opportunities are there for them to happen, but they're not happening. So we have to make sure the guys we put on the floor are willing to make those plays.
I guess at this point, would you be willing to sacrifice what you're able to do offensively to find some guys who are willing to make those plays?
Yeah, yes. And I think, we have some good offensive guys on the bench, too. Obviously, Toby's been out. It's the first time he's been back, and I thought he did some, he gets 5 rebounds and makes some hustle plays in the 16 minutes he was out there. So we have to get him back on the floor some. Cole got off to a good start offensively. He can be better defensively. I thought this is one of Jeff's poorer games defensively. and you know, they'll look at the film and they'll be hungry to get better, and I have to help them get better. I mean, that's the reality. But you know, we're going to hook it up tomorrow at 4:30, and just see who wants to do it. I think it's in there. I really believe it. And you know, not going to push a panic button either. You know, we just got beat by a team that beat a top 10 team in the country by 30 and blew their doors off. So this is a very talented and confident and experienced Villanova basketball team. And we got it to 61-54 there with 7-8 minutes left, and they come out and they score, I think, 7 or 8 possessions in a row. You know, they had made threes, and then all of a sudden, bang, bang, bang. You know, Brunson hits back to back. So they have the ability to do that to you, and frankly, they have the ability to make you look stupid defensively because of what they do. And in the games they've lost, you know, they were 4 of 32 against Oklahoma, or that game's totally different. And they go into Virginia, a top 5 team in the country, and it's a 2-point game with 3 minutes to go. I mean, this is there's some great basketball teams in our league. They're still the class of our league. Until somebody does something about it, they are. And they pick their spots, they find the weakness in the other team's defense, and they exploit it. And they have the roster to be able to do that. We tried to obviously limit their number of threes they got the first half, and they said, all right, fine, we won't shoot threes, we're going to drive you. Teams that have packed them in, you know, that's kind of what Xavier does. And they made 15 threes on them. So you really have to pick your poison with this team because they're extremely well coached. They're very experienced. They've got a big guy they can throw it into. If things get a little rough, they can throw it there, and they can usually get a basket or free throws. Because you're real fearful to come and double team because of the threat of the shooters they put on the floor. So I have to have a balance in my disappointment in how we competed and how we played, and then also make sure I tap the brakes a little and understand we got beat by a very, very good basketball team. They shot an incredible percentage. A lot of it was because it was easy shots. But we also hung in there for 30 minutes despite them making all those shots. So we certainly did some good things to keep ourselves in the game. And like every game, win or lose, you evaluate it. You try to learn from it, and then you scrap it. That's what you have to do, especially when you're in a league like we're in this year.
Ask the players this, but I guess when you guys had put stops together and then you execute an offensive possession and the shot just doesn't fall despite being a good look, I guess how deflating were those moments tonight? Because it seemed like they were quite.
Yeah, you know, I thought we got really good looks the first half at times. You know, Z had a couple, Cole had some good looks. You know, James had some. You know, there's shots we have to make, and I felt going in if Villanova played well, we were going to have to make 10 or 12 threes. You know, when you're playing a team, Villanova, Oklahoma, Indiana, I don't care. You have to do something pretty well. We make 12 threes at Oklahoma. It's a close game till the final 3 minutes. Tonight we don't, and it kind of gets away from us. But it's tough because that's who we have to be. You know, they did a good job of switching some screens and keeping us off balance. When we got the matchup we wanted inside, we were impatient rather than keeping the ball moving and waiting to get it to the other side and then get it in against the mismatch. We attempted to get it in on the first side, and we turned it over 3 or 4 times trying to throw it there. And, again, that's something we know better because we practice it. We just have to execute it.
Quick turnaround game for you with the game coming in Tuesday. Blessing, or would you rather have more time?
I mean, you always want more time, but it's the reality of our schedule. We're riding some guys pretty hard with some heavy minutes, but you know we won't go forever tomorrow. But we also need to send a message of what needs to transpire if we're going to compete against Georgetown. Georgetown's long, athletic. They can get to the basket. They got one of the best guards in the league, in Smith Rivera. And you know they're 2-0, and after struggling a little bit of non-conference and losing a few games they probably didn't think they would, they've got their mojo back. And the reality of it is you start a game on the road and then you got Georgetown, Villanova at home. If you can figure out a way to come out of that 2-1, you'd probably be pretty happy without playing any of the games. So we still have an opportunity to do that. We just have to make sure we prepare for it well the next 2 days. Thank you.